Hey, collective, what is going on? Welcome into the channel. So happy to have you here always. My name is Deborah, owner of Purusha Holistic Wellness, and this is another episode of Purusha Intuitive, where we are going to look at, we're going to do a midweek check-in, look at the energy, what's been going on this week, what is awaiting us this weekend via the tarot, astrology, any channeled messages, and we'll also incorporate some Ayurvedic lifestyle, living habits, wellness, etc. So let's get into it. Excuse me. I hope that your week has been going well. We just entered into Gemini season. It's been our first full week in Gemini, and we're seeing the momentum pick up. I've been saying this a lot lately. I think this is a welcomed energy because we've also been hitting a lot of places of stagnancy or just where situations, dynamics won't budge, won't move. And yes, a lot of it is really attached to our approach. Like some energies are just being resistant, period. And, that's a whole nugget to deal with. But there also is this value of figuring out like how we can push the needle forward, right? Especially when we are coming into resistance where it's not necessarily a block and this is a closed door. It's more this avenue of like, okay, there might be some obstacles, but how can we surmount them? How can we overcome? So we're actually getting to the goals, the desires of our heart. And that is a little difficult right now. Venus is tensely aspected to Saturn, which really just talks about wanting to be comfortable, wanting to like not have to work too hard or not acknowledge the tough things. Venus and Mars have been tensely aspected not to each other, but more on that front of like Mars wants to push its agenda in a certain way and can be a little bit stubborn about how that happens. And then Venus just wants everything to be nice, fine, and not have to do anything harder than that, right? Like just not wanting to work too hard, not wanting to acknowledge certain things about people, about situations, or difficulties that we might be coming into. Sometimes we keep forcing the issue, i.e., that Mars I was just talking about, and it's just a done deal. Like it's actually counterintuitive to how you're expending your energy, what you're investing in, etc. And it can be really defeating. I've had a few of those lately where it's just like really hard to work with people sometimes, no matter how nice you are, how accommodating, what you say, like just some people can't handle it, right? And that's the reality. And it's not a fun reality to face, but it also gives us that heads up that either we need to try a different approach or maybe it's just not the direction for us. So with that in mind, I like to start the readings off with an energy cleansing, just setting the tone, set the vibe for the reading, cleansing out the energy, the places we're feeling blocked, limited. You can totally skip ahead. If it's not your vibe, you'll still receive the blessing, obviously, 100%. But it's also a really good time to set your own intention as well, especially if you've come in with something on your heart, on your mind, something you would like spirit to deliver messages to you around. Definitely give that over. Be open to receive. It really is a great way to personalize these collective readings. I also do personal readings. I offer a variety of healing and wellness services. Readings are one of them. If you want me to look at your specific situation, how it's faring, where it's headed, or if you are interested in a rebalancing of self, your mind, your body, your soul, I do pranic energy healing as well as Ayurvedic or holistic wellness consultations. Because when we are aligned in self, it does make those annoyances and frustrations that much easier. It helps us go after the things that we truly want, that we're actually desiring for our happiness, our fulfillment. It also makes manifesting way easier as well. And I would love to help support that for you in whatever way possible. Definitely hit me up. All the info to get into contact with me is in the description box below. All right, let's get into it. I bless you with pure love and light, pure source energy, pure loving grace. I release anything that is not for your highest and best. Any fears, doubts, insecurities, lack of worth, lack of value, pain, anger, frustration, impatience, overwhelm. Cleanse it and release it from our being so I may see and understand the messages clearly and help to make me a clear and open channel for the collective. Thank you, Father God, spirit guides, guardian angels, Mama Love. All right. So, I'm picking up this energy of like not really knowing what your next steps are, or maybe you've been coming into that resistance in different areas where you kind of just like can't do anything about it. It's this energy of like complete not knowing. Whatever that, maybe that's a little too dramatic, I don't know. But it definitely has this vibe of like, well, I've done everything I can do, so now what, and in the regard that like maybe things haven't really been changing a whole lot. Saturn is in Aries right now, so Saturn forces us to do the work, and in Aries it forces us to do the work on ourselves, and that's where we are seeing some of that resistance. The moon is a little bit emotional to the changes as well. I'm not surprised that we get this shadow. These are the places that we have to look at ourselves, the way we show up in our life with people, situations, and really just kind of take inventory of like where you're at, how you might come across, how what you're saying, what you're communicating might be received, even if it is looking at the not so fun parts. And it's not even about like doing something wrong or doing something bad. I don't get that energy at all. I feel like this is more about like how you're working with your environment and in a way that can be a little bit more balanced. And like I said, this energy's been coming up a little bit during the zodiac readings. I just started doing the long formats again, so definitely check out your sign or whatever message resonates with you. But it has this, again, it's not pinpointing what you're doing wrong. It's actually more about like your own sanity, your own well-being. Because when we're resistant, like if we are seeing places that we're being stubborn or just trying to force our point, that's a good one. Like I had a situation with that this week where I kept trying to communicate something to someone and they just couldn't hear it, can't hear it. And it's actually a little offensive to me because it's something that I need validated. It's something that's important to me. This person knows that it is, and it's just falling on deaf ears. So my knee-jerk reaction is to be like, but let me explain. Let me tell you why this is hard and blah, blah, blah. And if I were to continue to force the issue, it would still be more of that disappointment, right? The unmet expectation, or that, there's this rejection component, right? Because someone can't hear what I'm saying, what my wants, what my needs are, right? And so those are those dynamics, like I was talking about in the very beginning, where it's like some things just need to be over and done with, especially if you've tried over and over and over again. And this is definitely one of those situations in my own life where I've given this person a lot of grace, a lot of space, a lot of understanding, and it's just like they can't. And so that's where the moon tensely aspected to Pluto, tensely aspected to Mars, can feel a little bit raw. The North Node is also tensely aspected to the fortune point. And again, I love that this comes up, no expectations. So the North Node helps us grow and evolve on our life path. And with those transits I was talking about with Venus, with the North Node, it's like we have to change up how we're doing things, how we're approaching things. And like I was saying in my own, for example, especially in those places where you keep hitting a brick wall. we've been getting a lot of these same energies. So it feels like it's just a constant reworking. And try not to shame yourself in the process, right? Like, let's say you do try to prove your point to someone because you think, well, eventually they're going to hear what I'm saying. And you have to go through that cycle a few times before you realize, no, they're just not going to hear it, right? It's that value. Like, don't be hard on yourself if you do need to do that. This is also breaking through some of the illusion. And I'm hearing this twofold. Illusion is in your blocked energy. So aspects of it are, like buying into, again, thinking, having certain expectations around relationships, around how people are going to show up, and it's just not happening. So being honest with self around what the reality truly is. But then I'm also hearing for the illusion, it's about not picking up these places that people are trying to force something on you. Oh, collective is this or that, or like they have whatever gossip, drama people are trying to push onto you. You don't have to pick it up. Because I do feel like that's where some of this inner conflict resolution is coming into play for you. We've been getting this again a lot, and we have a lot of sixes on the board. Like, I'm seeing a lot of like balancing of energies. We have 2 4s, 2 6s, and an 8. So in numerology, this talks a lot about our partnerships, how those are working for us or against us, being aware, being cognizant, making the necessary changes that we need to, making sure that we're not latching on to people and situations just because we're so desperate or because, again, we think it's going to work out. There is this level of stubbornness that is in your environment with the 7 of Pentacles. 7 of Pentacles is all about waiting. And someone, I'm hearing like someone might not be giving you a fair shake because they're trying to see how it's all going to pan out. There might even, for some of you, I'm hearing like there might even be some people who are trying to pick and poke and see if they can get a reaction. This makes a lot of sense. The Strength card. It's not a fun energy to be in. And it's interesting because even in the astrology, it's not horrible. The transits aren't horrible. We actually do have a lot of support. Like, Jupiter is harmoniously aspected to the vertex point. So the more we can push these situations along, i.e., find resolution, whether we walk away or whether we readjust our approach, the quicker our fortune is going to come in. The quicker these things are going to come to head, and we won't have to deal with them anymore. And I think that's important more for you because, like I said, with this 7 of Pentacles, it looks like someone's holding on, or this might even be a little bit of dead weight energy. Temperance falls out. So making sure that you're not getting too emotionally sucked in. Again, easier said than done, but temperance is when we need to find balance within ourselves. No matter what's going on in our environment around us, maybe we're getting met with some stubbornness, some backlash, people who don't want to participate or who are kind of being shitty, excuse me. But that's when we have to just, again, like, not allow that, or find those ways. Meditation, any type of pranayamic breathing, yoga, huge proponent, taking a walk outside, getting out into nature, taking a bath, anything to do with water really helps cleanse and purify our emotions. You can sprinkle in some nice herbs just for that extra healing touch, some aromatherapy. There's a lot of different ways where we can not let things get the best of us. And usually that is in our health and wellness practices, how we are taking care of self. Because the Strength is also reminding you that, like, it's not an easy process, but you do have what it takes. You do have it within you to overcome, to tame that beast. whether that beast is within self. I don't necessarily get that energy because whomever, whatever you're dealing with, again, it's almost like backtracking, right? With 7 going to the 6, it's a backtracking energy. 7 of Swords. You're feeling a little bit raw about how someone is treating you. Like, this is someone who wasn't very honest, wasn't very upfront about either what their intentions are or whatever, and maybe even being a little bit difficult. There's a lot of earth energy around you right now. So earth energy moves so slow, like so slow. And that again can be really frustrating because you're trying to navigate the energy, you're trying to match the energy, you're trying to work with the energy, but still it feels like, and I think this is where the 7 of Swords is coming into play. We'll clarify. But it's like no matter what you do, and it's almost in this way of either like someone's is legit playing a game. I saw a chessboard in my head as I was in my mind's eye, excuse me, as I was saying that. Page of Wands. Yeah, it's all right. Let's see. I'm going to clarify the 7 of Swords. You're seeing certain people and dynamics very clearly right now, but it is very hard to let it go because I think your perception of a situation was very different than what the actuality is. And it's almost like what I'm seeing in your overarching energy is it's better to just like let it be and move along. But for some reason, whether you have to continue to deal with this or like I was talking about in the very beginning, my own situation, like it might be something you feel like, but if I just explain, then they'll understand. And it doesn't look like that's happening. Not only is that not happening, but it's also kind of revealing the realities of what something is and how someone has shown up. And I feel like it's more the reality that is very hard to, it's a hard and bitter pill to swallow. Because again, with that Venus tensely aspected to Saturn, it's like, oh, well, shoot, like now I have to do this differently, or I can't trust this person. I can't rely on this situation. They told me one thing, but now their actions are showing me something completely different. And with this earth energy, you're not getting a lot of movement out of the situation or the person. If anything, like I said, they're kind of content to stay stuck and they're not really going to do anything about it. Okay, so Page of Swords, messages, communications coming in. Maybe they're just like avoiding conversations with you, like they don't want to be confronted, is what I'm hearing. Especially with this Page of Wands energy, it's very immature. It's like, I'm going to avoid anything difficult at all costs. Like this feels like a very weird energy. It's someone who's moving very slow, taking their time, refusing to participate, refusing. And then like as a conversation does happen or some type of interaction, it's like they're booking it. They don't want to have to, yeah, 4 of Cups. That makes a lot of sense. They don't want to have to face the music. And I think for you, like, it is a little bit like you're along for the ride, yes. But again, I think the bottom line, let me clarify this illusion. The bottom line is it's revealing to you. It's revealing things that you need to know, again, so that you're not wasting your time and your energy on people and situations that like really don't deserve it. Okay, this is kind of a lot, but we have 7 of Cups, the Hermit, Ace of Coins, and Queen of Cups. It looks like you keep coming back to these problems and issues again with maybe some hope that it's going to change. But I feel like that's where it's a need to disconnect, like disconnect yourself from this energy. Actually take some time and really love on yourself with this Ace of Cups. taking time to understand the conflict, like where it's coming from and why it's triggering you in certain ways, right? Whether that's like the need to be validated, seen, heard, or need to prove your point, or whatever, however that shakes out for you. I feel like that's where that's what this is saying. That's where the shadow card is coming into play. Some of the attachments is what I'm hearing. The attachments around things that you're having a really hard time letting go of. And I don't know that it's, and again, these are, the weekly check-in, like couple days, whatever, whenever this energy resonates, however long it resonates, but it definitely has this vibe of like, it's hard to let go of what your expectations are. And this could, like I said, it could just be because you still have to work with this person or you still have to deal with them on a day-to-day basis. And it's hard to shift the expectations. I think once dynamics are set up in relationships, it's really, really hard to change those. Both parties have to be willing and able. And it doesn't really look like you're getting a lot of that. If anything, like I said, there's a lot of resistance. There's a lot of refusal to acknowledge. It does have a lot of immaturity around it as well. Not really looking for resolution, and the temperance comes out again. So for you, I think it's like not only readjusting your expectations, but readjusting how much you are contributing to certain things. I feel like that's where this inner conflict resolution is really working in your favor. Meaning, you don't, like, if you're seeing that someone can't participate or can't show up or give work in reciprocity, in harmony, then that's where we pump the brakes, right? That's where we take a step back. It feels like like I said, it kind of is a frustration in your mind, or like as if you want to do something, you want to fix the problem and the problem just can't be fixed. And I think that's also where this illusion is coming into play, because you might be buying into this belief again, like if I do this, then it's all going to work out, or they're going to actually receive what I'm saying, or whatever that looks like for you. And it's just not how the energy comes through. Because if anything, you're constantly being validated on what this is not, right? So where the expectations are amiss with the reality of the dynamic. And I think that's when we obviously force the issue, is like the belief that something is different than what it actually is. And then we're just trying to find every which way to make it work, or we think it's a problem with us, or, whatever. What I do like though for you is it is bringing more balance and stability back to yourself. I think as you have these clarities and understanding throughout the rest of the weekend, it's going to be way easier. Here's the thing, what I do see for you, as bleak as maybe some of this does sound, or defeating, right? Because it does feel limiting, restrictive, like you're in a box in a corner. I see freedom coming for you at the same time. And freedom comes when you're able to look at whatever this is, whatever responsibility you're putting on yourself, this forcing to fix something or to find solutions where there is no solutions. As you're letting go, as you're releasing that, that's where your freedom comes into play. And this feels like this is like not that far away. Do you know what I mean? If anything, it feels like you're working through this problem over the weekend, and then you're kind of like, oh, that's what it is, right? Like I didn't even see that perspective. I didn't even see it from that lens. And whatever you're doing this weekend, the hurt, the pain, the sadness, like I think even just exploring self a little bit, right? And it's not like you have to sit and be in your feels all weekend. We do have, I didn't even touch on this, but we do have a full moon in a couple days, in 3 days, full moon in Sagittarius. And Sagittarian energy helps us expand. It's growth, it's evolution, it's evolving beyond the stress wherever my strength card went, the stress, the limitations that we're coming into. And I'm hearing this as like peace within self. You're watching all of this play out. And yes, it might be a shell shock. It might be like, well, what the heck, right? Like, I thought this was something completely different, and this is not how this person dynamic is showing up. But that is actually the blessing in disguise. That is the silver lining, because it's giving you the answers and the clarity that you need to actually do something about it. So you're not continuing to put yourself in vulnerable positions with people who aren't going to receive it, or like I was talking about earlier, who just want to reject or fight or be difficult for the sake of being difficult. And that's where I'm seeing for you. It's like, you don't have to intertwine your energy with this. But I think there, like, again, you might have to deal with it to a certain capacity, but you don't have to intertwine. Does that make sense? Like, you don't have to enmesh yourself. Maybe that's what someone wants you to do with this Six of Pentacles in their blocked energy, because this, as much as this can be balance and reciprocity, it can also be someone who likes to have the upper hand, right? As in the card it's depicted, right? Like, she's giving the pentacle to someone in need. And it feels a little bit like someone likes having that power. I don't know. There's just a lot of it just feels very immature. It just feels like someone's either playing a lot of games. And I think that that's kind of where spirit is really highlighting, like, maybe you shouldn't work at this so hard, or maybe your energy, your intention is best spent in other places. So we get Libra. Libra is all about balance. It's all about partnerships as well. So finding a little bit more balance within self. We don't have anything in Libra right now. Interesting, like I was talking about in the astrology, we have Neptune and Saturn that are in, I'm sorry, yeah, Neptune and Saturn that are in Aries. So we're working on self in order to have better relationships, not only show up better in our relationships, but also draw better people and situations into our life. And whatever this is, it doesn't feel like a good balanced relationship, or doesn't feel like, every relationship has its ups and downs, it has its credits and deficits. I'm not talking about the little things. I'm talking about the places where, again, it's an illusion, right? It's an illusion that needs to be seen through. The more that we do that, the more we push towards the good stuff, right? Okay, so Saturn, so funny. I love this. Saturn, the last quarter, and Venus. So exactly that transit that I was talking about earlier. This is the final whatever, the final push. And again, it might not feel that validating. Either you've been in this for a while, or it seems like the same pattern keeps popping up over and over and over again. Like I was saying earlier, and what I'm seeing now, like, you're gaining some level of freedom. You are at the end of something that has been heavy, waxing crescent. You're building into something new as well. Getting comfortable in the new energy. So anytime we make changes within self, within our environment, we have to acclimate, right? And I feel like the waxing crescent is like, you have a good foundation set, and then you're building, right? You're building and growing, building up to that full moon. Full moon is when we manifest. It's what it kind of dictates what our manifestations are, what's actually coming in for us. And there are places where there needs to be a little bit more balance, grounding, stability. We talked a lot about this. It's hard to do because, like I was saying, so in Taurus season, we had the opportunity to kind of, it's earth energy, so we could find a little bit more of that stability. But you're like moving and you're on to the next thing. And like I was saying in the very beginning, this feels like dead weight. It's like weighing you down, and it's all earth energy, right? So, like molasses. And even though you are ready, it's making sure that you're not missing out on the lessons or things that you need to take inventory of, so you're not looping yourself back into those positions in the future. Um, it's not an easy thing to do again, but I'm hearing like a lot of this is about making peace within yourself, just letting things be what they are. Maybe your hands are tied a little bit. Maybe that feels really frustrating and overwhelming. But if you can kind of step out of that overwhelmment for a minute, grieve, cry, meditate, do whatever you need to do to kind of just like rebalance your energy, and then look at it through the next a new lens, it's going to be way more helpful to you. Um, Oh yeah, I read this thing. I think it was on YouTube, but I can't remember. It's someone posted. It's not my words. It's what I'm getting at. But it was like, if it doesn't flow, let it go. And I think that's such a good rule of thumb. If we do have to constantly push the issue, or if we are constantly coming into these relationships where it's just always this, that's not fun for anyone, you know? Yeah, it might be like getting off on the drama and the excitement and the constant ups and downs, but eventually that gets old. And I feel like for you, that has gotten old in this dynamic because, like I said, it looks like someone's intentionally taking their time, whether it's they're taking their time or they're just making things difficult to make them difficult. And I think you're very wise as to what this is and how this energy is playing out. And now it's taking that extra step and disconnecting from whatever this illusion is, whatever someone, something is trying to present as like the truth, the reality. It's not necessarily that. And again, sometimes we do just have to say, okay, move along. People don't want to hear it. They don't want to understand. That's on them, right? But we don't have to sit there and play the game essentially. There's other games to be played that are way more fun, in my opinion. All right, collective, thank you so much for your time, energy always, especially if you made it this far in the reading. I super appreciate you. I hope you enjoyed the reading. I hope you found messages that resonated for you here. Definitely drop comments below if you did. I love to hear, I love to connect. I love to know what's going on in your world, or just sharing in a little love, little TLC. It also helps the channel so much. I appreciate all the love, all the support to the channel. No, it blesses my heart. I hope you have a happy Thursday. I will be live again on Saturday morning, and we'll continue to upload the long formats for the zodiac readings. I will also post a schedule. I will do that today. I have a little more space and time to do that today. So I will keep you guys posted as to what days I will be uploading and what days I'll be going live. All right. Thank you so much. Lots of love, lots of blessings. Happy Thursday. Have a great rest of your weekend.